Here's my little workshop. I measured it this morning. It's actually 4 foot by 5. So we're 4 foot that way and 5 foot going across. And that's all I need, seriously. Everything I want is in there, including today's project. So let's get started. I've got this piece of wood here. I'm going to sand it down, make it nice and clear. Only reason, because we use a carbon paper and pencil, and as I'm working on that, it rubs the pencil off. So I will plane it all down first. It'll end up being 11-inch square. It's got a nice thickness to it. So what we're going to make today is a clock. Here's our little template stencil that we're going to throw on there. If this wood was any bigger, the clock would be bigger. But as it is, we'll stick to that size. Here's our little piece of mechanism. That will come in from underneath. So the hands will be showing through the centre of this. On this bit here, I'm going to do that silver and put black dots. So thick ones for the 12, 6, 9 and 3. And smaller dots in between. Feed that through, get the hands going, cut it all out. I might cut round this yet to give that shape, or we could end up just doing one big black circle, but we'll see how we get on. So that's the plan of attack for today. Let's get started by sanding this wood down and getting the stencil drawn on. Right, that's all nicely sanded down, planed down. Next stage is to place the stencil where we want it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go right in the middle on this one. Now, I could have got 2 out of this, but there is some nasty knots in here, and I'm not too sure when I start routing it out how they're going to behave. But don't worry about these. This will all get used for different projects. I've also noticed this is slightly half an inch longer one way than it is the other, but that doesn't matter. So get it where we want it. Just clearing those knots at both sides. I'm happy with that. Get that stuck down. This is just painter's tape. Lovely stuff. You clear there. You clear there. Let's get the carbon underneath. And we'll start drawing this out. So use your hinge effect. Because this one is slightly bigger, it does require 2 pieces. So throw them in there just as easy. And then we've got to start drawing it out. This is a time consuming bit, especially with stuff like this. But like I've said before in my other projects, I've tried gluing that straight to the wood and routing out all the black stuff. But there's paper everywhere, you can't follow your lines so good. So it's worth taking this bit of effort now to make it easier as we go along through the project. I'll start drawing around this and then we'll come back to you when it's finished. Right, we've got that all drawn out now. As you can see, what I like to do is shade in the areas that you're going to remove. Takes a couple of minutes to do, and it can save you a lot of trouble. As you start doing your routing, you get so engrossed and carried away. Before you know it, you'll start removing these, and they want to stay there. It's the background you want. So shade in all the areas that you're going to remove. You can see I put the clock face in. You could have put numbers around there, just as easy with a router. Personally, I think it looks better just with these dots. It fits in with what is actually a shield at the end of the day. I've also extended the ends slightly, just so it takes up the full piece of wood. And when this is all done, we'll go around with the fret saw, scroll saw, and remove all the outer bit. This main cross here, that's going to be slightly raised from these side bits. I don't know if you notice on the side bits here, I can just show you, they actually run off there. But I've joined those pieces together. So that will be the end of the shield. This cross will be up a couple of mil, not too fantastic. These sides will all be lowered just a little bit, and we'll get the paint on, get it sanded, and hopefully it's looking somewhere near. Let's go down to the shed now and get on with the routing. Okay, you can see the idea is to go around what you need to cut out, and then we'll just nibble at it and take all these sections out. As you notice, the pencil drubbing also, it won't do you any harm to keep drawing on the bits you're going to take out, because if not, you get carried away, and next minute you've took this out, like I've said before. So keep putting your shading on. I'll nibble at this. We'll get it complete to somewhere near, and then we'll come back again and show you what we're finishing with. The bits I'm using are some little CNC bits that I get. Now these come with a smaller shaft, so you will require a collet to slot them onto, like so, and then that just slots into your router. Pretty easy. Because they are smaller bits, I'm not really going to get away with what I would normally use, which would be that one. You'll get this out, but you'll be struggling to get them down there. So I'm going to do the whole lot with that. It's all in the router, it's all set up nicely. So we'll continue with this for a bit more. Okay, we've got the hard bit out of the way now. I've drilled the centre of the clock to place the pin in, and I've done the clock hands round here, as we can see. The hole has got to fit the thread on that, I don't know if you can see it. And there's a little washer that goes on to clamp it to it, and then we put the hands on. So what we need to do now is to get underneath. We've measured, we know that fits in there, and we know it fits in from the other side, but also you've got the thickness of the wood, which is going to be the issue. So as you can see, we've marked it off. We know that centre pin's right, so all we have to do now is we've placed that on there, we've drawn around it. We're going to have to route all this out bit by bit by bit, just enough to get that thread through and fasten it up. Now, doesn't leave us a lot to play with, so we'll route this out and keep nibbling at it until we get it somewhere near. Right, that's all cut out nicely. Like I say, that'll slot in there, like so, and it's just enough to get a washer and a little locking nut on there. Don't worry about the size of the hole, there's a little washer that goes on there, is going to cover all that up. So we know that fits, so we'll put that to one side for now until we've got the paint on. Right, just before we put our paint on, I'm going to put some sealant and protector on. The only reason, I've used this wood before, and you do get a slight bit of bleeding of the paint into the wood, so I'm hoping just to seal it with this stuff. So we'll just spray some of this on. Try and get into all them nuts and crannies. Like so. Let it dry, and it might just help a little bit with that paint. So once it's dry, we'll get on to painting it black now. Right, that's dried all nicely now. Like I say, it's a bit of a sealant to stop the black from bleeding in. It doesn't always work. If you're working on wood that doesn't require it, then don't spray it. as before, I'm going to go for a satin black wood and metal thing. Paint, should I say. And basically just throw this in. Don't be frightened. Just get into all them nooks and crannies. Once it dries, you'll see little white bits coming through. Should that happen, just get yourself a nice little black marker pen, and you can either dab it. I tend to go over this twice just to make sure. So I'll finish this off and we'll come back when it's done. Right, I've cut that out with this scroll saw. Wasn't too bad. Do you remember me saying about the knots in the wood? Big chunk come right out the side there. Lucky enough though, I've got the piece and it will just be a case of gluing that back in there. So that's not a disaster. What I will do now is just quickly get the router, and I just want to skim over these sections here. Just so it lowers it slightly, just to make this cross stand out a bit more. And then we'll give it a good sanding, and I think we're ready to put it back together. Right, I've done them end bits. It's I wish I'd left it now, because it's not really achieved anything, but there was a slight little dip there. I can't go down any further, because that's not deep enough. So I'm going to leave it like that now. So this is, to me now, is the best bit. We're going to get the sanding done. Right, that's all nicely cleaned off now. I've tried to repair the end bit. In the end I just put wood glue mixed in some sawdust, and that just filled that in nice enough. So all we've got to do now is just finish it off with linseed oil. I did say I was going to cover this, paint this silver, but I actually like the wood effect. So I'm going to throw some of this on, put the mechanism inside. This project's finished. Right, that's all finished now. I don't know if you noticed, I've added a second hand, plus they originally were black. I've just sprayed them silver, just so they stand out a bit more. That's what makes things work. I also just routed a nice big slit in there, just to hang it up. But to me that one's finished now. I might just spray a bit of varnish on afterwards, just to finish it off, but yeah, a little clock, job done. Thank you for watching.